This is what I'm looking to buy. So, scary picture of Michael there. This is the property, the barn that's attached to my barns, which I'm looking to negotiate a price on with obviously the owner. The owner his father used to live just across the way from my house. Unfortunately, he died in 2023, and his son has been sort of clearing the affairs ever since. So he did sell the house to a young couple, which is quite nice. And he'd had sort of a house clearance sale, and I actually bought 3 buffets, which I helped to make up the kitchen with, and a settee as well. And then he had offered this barn to me way back when, and I initially had refused because I didn't see the logic in doing it. So again, I've done a video recently on what I was playing hardball with him as far as what it concerns. So there's a sort of a little map there. You can always pause it if you want it, if you haven't seen this before. And the rest of it really is just a walk through the actual areas. So way back last summer, he made it clear he was happy to try and sell it to me. He did actually. He's a bit of a wily character because he'd actually offer it to several other people as well, all at sort of at the same time. I think he was trying to create some sort of an auction type affair, and it didn't work out because what he was asking was way too much anyway. And he was seen to be offering different prices to different people. So make of that what you will. And he'd initially, I said initially I wasn't interested in the land that surrounds, which is a part of against the barn, and there's another sort of parcel of land which is just slightly off it. To me, extra land is kind of hard work. So initially, he was going to try and divide it, and he thought maybe one of the neighbours who in fact is the professor, the prof, who likes to, he has got like a market garden himself, so he would like to, he got a bit of allotment that he bought many years ago, which is next to this field, and he offered it to him, but again at a ridiculous price. Obviously, I'm not an agriculturalist, and I've always sort of lived in towns and that, so I'm not really too au fait on the values of agricultural land, etc., etc. But everybody I spoke to here seemed to suggest that he was asking an excessive amount for what it was. So there's something around about in total just shy of 4,000 square meters if you add the two parcels together. And he offered it to the neighbour, I think, for about 10,000. And he also then offered me the barn exclusively for 19,000 something or other. And obviously I said no, thanks. It's way too expensive for me. And he was quite put back by it. He was like, "Oh, but it's part of your, it's against your property, and it'd be a great addition and everything else." And I just thought, well, I'd only just started on the house. The house itself only cost me €15,000, so I would then be spending 4.5 grand more than that on this basically big garage. Didn't seem to make any sense at all. So, like I said, I refused, and he then tried to do it again. He was offering it to anybody and everybody, and nobody was biting. So this is just going back to what you're looking at here. So this is where the trees are. Obviously, that's kind of the boundary of it on the left-hand side there. And it's sort of boundary. There's got a boundary against my neighbour, the Spaniard's house, which is what you're seeing there. So that's all the trees that are at sort of the rear of the Spaniard's house. And then you walk through from this much larger field, and also there's a couple of oak trees that have sort of self-seeded in there. And you walk into the smaller parcel, which is something like 450 square meters. And it does actually have a couple of fruit trees there, obviously suffering. So this particular fruit tree here that we come to, first of all, is actually my neighbour's garden. This is the Spaniard's fruit tree, so it's not mine, or it won't be mine. But I thought I'd nick a little crab apple anyway. There you go, that's that. And so in the other parcel, you've got a small apple tree and you've got a pear tree. Both obviously have seen better days. Again, I'm not that much of a horticulturalist, but I know generally with sort of fruit trees and that, you should really be pruning them fairly regularly to get the maximum amount of crop you can kind of get. And these obviously haven't been touched for years. And also, we've had 3 heat waves throughout the early parts of 2026, which have created massive problems, obviously, for everything that's growing. And then again, this is to the left hand side there. These are some of the pine trees that are growing in my neighbour's garden, the Spaniard's garden. And then the plot that you're kind of looking at here would be a part and parcel of what I'll be looking to buy. And is this a sign? Is this a sign from the gods? There you go. So that's that. And then just looking back to sort of the opening where the two, which kind of connects the two fields together. And obviously from here, then you can walk down to sort of the main road. So that's the boundary of my neighbours, the Spaniards fence line. And it could do with a lot of his treated in sort of cut back there as well. So you can actually get a vehicle of some sorts up onto here quite comfortably. The amount of area that is now, obviously, is going to be I'm going to have to contemplate something like a ride-on mower because obviously you're not going to cut it any other way. Anyway, so why am I buying? Why am I looking to buy this? That's a very, very good question I hear you ask. It just, the more and more people I spoke to, particularly in the local area, they were all sort of somewhat puzzled as to why it didn't interest me. And I explained about the land and everything else. And the various people were saying, well, and also there's quite a few comments that we've had from people that sort of follow the channel have quite legitimately said, there are farmers in that which will take on fields for use, pay you a wee bit of dividend as well. And that way you haven't got the maintenance side of it. So, and also the owner decided he would change his tactics and he wouldn't try and sell the two separate. He would look to sell it as an entirety. So it's the barn and the two fields. And with that, then he decided he would go with a estate agent who wanted to charge 10% commission. So he wasn't happy about that, but he said, I'll do it anyway. So then he pushed the price up to €35,000. And obviously nobody's going to go anywhere near that. And within about 5-6 weeks, he dropped it to 25,000. Right. So we're going back now a good few months. And so I've kind of been watching the situation. And like I say, I'm getting to know my neighbours more and more and more. And some of them are very, very very, very helpful with regards to local aspects of life here. Excuse me. So I then thought, and also spoke to a couple of friends in Paris, and they were like, to a Parisian 15,000, which is what I've decided to offer, is like nothing. It's like money for a weekend to a Parisian. So anyway, I just approached him thinking I'll just do a really cheeky offer. Because the last time he spoke, he wanted over 19,000 just for the barn. Now he's got everything on for sale for 25,000. And I said, look, to be honest with you, I can't get anywhere near that figure. The most I could offer would be €15,000. So he was like, well, I'm not sure I can accept that, Michael. And I said, I appreciate that. I'm not looking to sort of take the piss, but I'm trying to be realistic about going forward. I've got a very messy divorce just behind me, which cost me a heck of a lot of money, and I haven't got a great deal left in the kitty now. So I didn't want to be burning out whatever I've got left on a barn and fields. And then he started sending through like the plan that you've seen earlier on in the video. He sent that through and like look at it again and think about it and da-da-da. And he then came back and said, look, the best I can do for everything is like 19,000. So that's 13,000 for the barn, 6,000 for the field. And I said, look, really sorry, but I can't get to that figure. The actual maximum I can offer you is €15,000, and it's really is like take it or leave it. And I'm in a position where it doesn't really bother me either way, to be honest with you. It's not the end of the world if I don't get it. And it's not going to change my life if I do. And anyway, as it turns out, he's accepted that. And So we're going forward with the purchase of this barn and fields. So uh, you might think I'm crazy. Sometimes I think I'm a bit crazy myself. But then, at my age, I haven't got too much more left to lose. So in for a penny, in for a pound, or in for a centime, in for a euro. So here, there we go. So €15,000, which at current rates is about, don't know, 14,000 British pounds, or 17,000 American dollars for a very large barn with permission to build on the side of it if you need to, which I'm not going to, and about 4,000 square meters of land. So you can tell me what you think in the comments. Hope this wasn't too long for you. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll catch you on the next video.